Hello and welcome to another session here with me on Twitch. Of course, you could be watching the recording on YouTube. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to set up like a free training kind of thing. I'm trying to build a student community on Discord. Details are available on the website. So this is session number 2. So I already did one session previously, and it is available on Twitch, it's available on YouTube and stuff like that. And there is my website if you would like to visit, and so on and so forth. And in the previous session, this is where I really stopped. Okay, so just a quick introduction to what I'm trying to do here. So let me go ahead and bring up my browser here on the screen. So what I'm really doing is I'm doing these free JavaScript classes and so on and so forth. This is the website, the same website you saw there. I have a Discord community here, and if I go to the original announcement, okay, there we go. And here I can go to my GitHub, which actually has the details. And here, if I scroll down, you can see here that, oh, I haven't put that link here. Oh, hold on. I just realized I haven't updated it. Oh, that's bad. Let me go ahead and update. So if you go to my GitHub profile, you go to profile, and then here you have a repository called Front End for Students. If you're watching this for the first time, don't forget to follow me and star my repositories. So if I go here, I have discussions, and in discussions I have, there you go, I have JavaScript Basics Batch 1, and this is the story. So let me go ahead and update that here. So I'm surprised that I haven't already put this here. There we go. So that's, and there must be my Discord somewhere here. Where is that? Yeah, there it is. I've started using the Discord link as my signature for some time now. There you go. Yes. Perfect. So once you go here, you have the link to the 17, and this is the story. So there we go. And I haven't put the link for the first session. So let me get my YouTube as well on the screen. Okay, I have a second monitor where I'm, like a command center. So hold on, let me put the link for the first session. Where is that? It was a fairly long session, more than 90 minutes. So let's go ahead and put that here. Okay. There we go. Yes, there it is. Thank you. Excellent. Now that is all linked up. There it is. So if you are unable to join the live sessions, which is probably the case, you can always watch the previous sessions on YouTube. My plan is now, where's the syllabus for this? The syllabus is here. So there you go. This is these. The title is kind of a misnomer. So I'm just going to change the title here. I'm just going to call it Batch 1. And what am I calling this? Hold on. I gave it a code here. So let's go ahead and update the code as well. Yeah, I'm making it like a code so that if I start a second batch and things like that, it is easy for me to manage. So what is the syllabus that I'm trying to follow? So my syllabus is fairly straightforward. What I'm trying to do is, this is like a free coding camp. My plan is to teach students JavaScript. Just the basics, nothing detail as of now. Perhaps in the future I might do something more detailed, but as of now I simply wish to take care of these 13 chapters in Free Code Camp. The Free Code Camp is a fantastic course. I mentioned this many times, and I recommend this to every developer. So previously, if I look at my note, now this is my main syllabus. There are 113. This is where I get the number 113, which I have mentioned in my syllabus as well. 113 chapters. My plan is, I believe that these 113 chapters, 113 topics, they cover every basic concept in JavaScript. These 113 topics won't make you a developer. No, not really. But it will act as a first step towards prepare you kind of. It's like before you jump off an aeroplane, you wear the parachute. So this is like the core essentials that you need to become a JavaScript developer. So that is my focus. I want to focus on these 113 chapters. That is my syllabus. And after this, I have a few projects already built, already available on my CodePen. So I want to show how to build a simple bootstrap. This is Bootstrap. It's an actress from India. I'm a huge fan of her. I hope it's okay to use her image. I found it on the internet. So I want to teach students how to build this. So again, this is only for someone who has no idea about JavaScript, who has no idea about Bootstrap. So this is the first thing I want to show people how to build. Then I want to show them how to build something like this, slightly more complex. Again, I'm using Amisha Patel images, a very simple website with some navigation and things like that. Okay. And after this, I want to show people how to build something like this. This is a very simple website which consumes the NASA API. NASA API is one of my favorite APIs in the world, and there you go, some kind of a nebula like the NASA API. So I want to show people this, how to, this look what happens. I click on this and it loads and it gets the data from NASA. So I want to show people how to apply their JavaScript skills, how to apply their Bootstrap skills to build a simple website like this. So that's another part of my syllabus. And finally, I want to build I want to end this batch by building a slightly more complex website, which consumes the MovieDB API. The MovieDB API is a very, very nice modern API from this website called the Movie Database. I'm a huge fan of movies. Seriously, I'm a huge fan of movies, and if you check my profile and stuff like that, you will see that I have a podcast. Yeah, there it is. I even have a podcast just for movies. You may want to listen my podcast about movies. I watch a lot of movies. I talk a lot about movies. The podcast is available on Amazon Music, Spotify, Audible, wherever you get your podcast. So I love movies. My plan is at the end of this course, I'm going to wrap it up by showing people how to build a very simple web app which consumes the MovieDB API. And that is the syllabus. That is my syllabus as of now. My plan is to do these online coding sessions, and then record them. The Twitch automatically records everything. So Twitch is like my DVR. And then get some practice on conducting these things. And eventually, one day I would like to open a training center where I want to continue teaching this for free, just so that people can learn the basics. I don't think I'll have enough money or resources to teach the entire stack. I don't think so, but I think I have enough resources to teach people, enough time, enough resources to teach the basics of programming to anybody who wants to learn. That is my idea here. So the plan is right now, this is like practice. This year, really take the time out, improve the syllabus, get used to doing these things. And eventually, God willing, I get enough money, I open a free tuition center, and then I want to teach people. I want to teach people how to code, because coding can help a lot of people come out of poverty. It helped me. It could help many people. So that is the plan here. That is the plan. That is my long story. So previously, and of course, we are still in the first session. This is session number 2. Now, in the previous session, In the previous session, I went ahead and stopped at explore differences between the var and let keywords. Is there an actual chapter called that? I don't think so. So let me just check my PowerPoint here. Where did I stop? Okay, I stopped at understanding case sensitivity in variables. So this is where I stopped. Good. And then, oh, there it is, exploring differences between the var and let keyword. There is a chapter called that. Okay, this is where we are going to resume then. So let's go ahead. So that is where I'm going to start. I believe the slide is already ready. So today it's chapter, so that's not going to be next anymore because I'm actually doing it right now. So what I'm doing is, let me copy paste this. All right, so this is chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is chapter 9. I'm surprised they haven't mentioned any. Okay, this is chapter 9. I'm going to do the counting. It's fine. So there we go. We are chapter 9 out of 113. And we are trying to discuss what are the difference between the var and let keyword. Now, see, this is something which bothers a lot of people, right? I mean, if you're doing JavaScript, okay, you will notice that a lot of older about texts which are more than 2015, probably before 2015, right? I think it's called ES6 or something. So let's go and check it out. There it is, ES6. ES6 is by far the most famous version of JavaScript. So it says it's right here, 2015, right? And you can see right here. So that is when they introduced the let keyword. Okay. So let's try to understand. So which means if you are looking at a code which came before 2015. So if you're looking at a code before 2015, then you will probably not see the let keyword. Like if you have a textbook from 2015 or before, then it won't be there. But anything after 2015, you'll see that people keep using both var and let. So what is the difference then? Now let's go ahead and use this online editor. Now throughout the class, I'm going to be using the online free codecamp editor. I mean, of course, a real developer would use VS Code. I'll be doing that as well when I move on to Bootstrap. But as of now, for the 113 chapters, I will only be using the free codecamp editor. It is a little inconvenient, yes. But again, I must remember that this is only for first-time learners. This is not for people who already know coding. This is not for someone who's already finished a course in coding or something. This entire series, this entire workshop is designed for people who are just trying to casually learn programming at their own pace. I mean, I teach very slow. You can see, I'm spending like 15 minutes just to get the session started. So my style is I'm gonna go really slow. So if you are impatient, then you should probably not be listening to my classes. My classes are not made for the impatient. My classes are made for people who are very patient, who want to learn slowly. Okay, so there you go. So right then, so let's do this. So you have the var. So I already discussed about variables. Variables are used to store values. So I'm going to say var my name. My name, I like myself. So I'm going to say var my name equals J. Okay, and then of course I like caveman debugging. So I'm going to say console.log and I'm going to say my name. And you can see in the so this is working just fine, which is just perfect, which is just perfect. Hold on, something is happening on my second monitor. There we go. Perfect. So right then, so you can see this is called caveman debugging. All right, so there we go. And now this is where things get interesting. So let's say I want to change or use another name. So I could say var my name equals my full name, which is Vijayasimha. And once again, I'm going to say console.log my name. And you will notice in the bottom part of the code, we are not getting any error. Now, if you are coming here from, say, C or C++ or C# or Java or something like that, or even just applying common sense, you notice that in line number 1, there is a variable called my name, and it is J. But then you come to line number 5, once again, we are using the same name. Even if you're not a programmer, that is a little confusing. You know, like in your house, if you have 2 chairs, you give the first chair a name like chair number 1. You naturally give the second chair a name called chair number 2, right? So, I mean, that because that just makes sense. You wouldn't have 2 things with the same name. It will get very, very confusing. But that is the thing about JavaScript. You know, whenever I teach JavaScript, I discuss JavaScript, I tell people, JavaScript is like the Wild West. Anything goes, seriously. A lot of times, I'm working on a JavaScript project. I mean, I'm not like a big time developer or something. I just know the basics. So I'm probably working on some basic project, and there won't be any error at all, but the output is not working. And seriously, that's just how JavaScript works. It does not give you errors, which can get very annoying. And one of those things is like this one. Why would a programming language allow you to use the same name twice? It makes no sense, but that's JavaScript for you. But then, of course, times change, and people want to make it less confusing, make it more better, and so on and so forth. So that is where we started with the let keyword. So let me go ahead and try this one more time. So I'm going to comment this. Okay, now I'm going to say let. All right, so now observe this closely. So I'm trying to do exactly what I did before, but the difference is I'm using let, and I'm doing the same step, console log my name, and I'm getting the exact same value. But now if I try to say let my name, there it is. So this is what let is all about. Okay, so to bring in more structure, that is my theory why this was invented or created in ES6, 2015. That's when this was made official. I think the idea is it just makes sense, isn't it? I mean, why would you have the same variable declared twice with the same name? Okay, so that is the difference. That is the difference between a var and a let. A let will enforce some kind of rules which says that, hey man, you can't use the same name again. You can't use the same identifier. So that's the technical word. So you can't really use the same identifier twice. That's let for you. So there you go. That's the explanation. Okay, so let me go ahead and reset this lesson, and let me make this a little bigger so I have more space. Many times I've mentioned, please make sure that when you're programming and coding and things like that, you have 2 monitors. Okay, so I'm begging you, please make sure you have 2 monitors and a bigger desk. Trust me, a bigger desk, probably a dining table. Okay, so reset the lesson. Let's do this. So they're asking me so that I change everything to let. So it's very easy. So I'm gonna go change var to let, change var to let, run the test, and that's all there is to it. Voila. Okay, let's keep going. The next chapter is declare a read-only variable. So the next chapter, let's keep going. Chapter 10. I hope the counting is correct. I don't know. I feel like the counting is not accurate. Okay. So next step is declare a read-only variable with the const keyword. read only. Read only, read only. In the olden days, all right? In the very, very olden days, I'm talking 1995 or 2000 or even 2000. Yeah, 2000. In India, I can't speak for other countries, and I'm from India, so I can speak for India, because technology thinks, they are very dependent on where you live, because people already had internet access at home, but in the 90s in America or something. But in India, we only got internet access like in 2005 or 2010. Even then, it was extremely slow. It's only in the 2008 and 2010 the internet became much more faster and prevalent in India. So technology things are very, very country specific. So in 2000, right, I remember we used to get these things called CDs, right? Now CDs, once you burn them, I remember, some of computers, they would have two types of drives. You have drives which read CDs, and then you have drives which read and also write CDs. Okay, but the thing is, once you write data to the CD, that's it. It's over. You cannot add more data to it, which is very useful. Like when you buy a music CD or something. Okay, you shouldn't be able to edit the music, because the whole point of buying a music CD is that it remains fixed. A music CD remains a music CD, so it's a constant. Now the thing is, when you look at variables, okay, so let's do that right now. So I'm going to say var my name equals, or let's say when I was born, right? So when I was, year of birth, right? This is public knowledge, so I don't think I have to worry about this. So it's 1985. So there you go. Now, come what may, this is not going to change. I don't know when I will die. Now, that is a variable until it happens, of course. So the year of birth value, it's a constant. So yesterday my date of birth year was 1985, and obviously today my year of birth is 1985. So it's not going to change. So let's say I do console.log, and I'm like, okay, I was born. Now that is not going to change. It's going to remain 1985 forever, even after my death. But let's say, I'm doing coding, and coding, something, many lines. And then by mistake, I do something like this. Okay. And now if I show the same output, now it says I was born in 1975. Now that is obviously a problem, because no, I was not born in 1975. I was born in 1985. That's not going to change. So one way to make sure that some values never change is to make them a constant, right? So instead of using var, now don't forget, you can also use let, and the output will still be the same. So we don't want this year of birth to change, even by accident. So what we do is, we don't use var, we don't use let, we simply use const. So now you will notice that JavaScript is trying to tell me, look, year of birth cannot be changed in line number 13 because it is a constant. So now I know line number 13 is a mistake. I'm not supposed to be doing it. So I will go ahead and remove it. I don't like deleting things, so I'm just going to make it a comment. And now the error is gone, and I am still born in 1985. So that's the whole story with the const keyword. So when you're working on a project, there are some things which will never change. For example, when you start working with databases, you will have connection strings. When you start working with APIs, I talked about the MovieDB API. Again, those things don't change. Okay, so they will remain a constant, or the value of pi, for example. 3.14. That is not going to change. So these are like standard constants. They will never change. So those things you want to use the const keyword. And there is a convention as well. So I need to talk about that. Now, I told you already in the last session as well. And a lot of times when you are coding, there are these conventions. For example, you'll see that I'm using camel case. I don't have to use camel case. I can choose not to. But it's okay. I'm a tutor. I'm teaching things. So I'll try to follow the convention. So similarly, if we are using a constant, it is a good idea to use uppercase throughout. So instead of doing it like this, the normal way to do this is to use uppercase. So it's like year of birth, because that signifies it's a constant. And also to make it more readable, just put a underscore, and then of course you need to change this everywhere. So let's do that. And there it is. I have my output working again. See, that's it. That is how you use constant. So whenever you have something that never changes, like connection string, value of pi, year of birth, stuff like that, you will be using a constant. And second thing to remember is convention. How do you type it? As you saw, there's nothing stopping you from using a camel case. That won't stop your project from working, but we do have these conventions. So if you're going to follow conventions, then please make sure that your const is typed with all uppercase letters. So that is the story here. Okay, so that's the const thing. So let's go ahead and reset this lesson. And what do they want me to do? So they're saying that change the code so that all variables are declared using let or const. Use let when you want the variable to change, and const when you want the variable to remain constant. So what do I want to remain constant? So let's see. What do I want to? Let's see. It says here FCC should be a constant. Okay, so I'm gonna make that uppercase. Good, and I am going to put this here, and I think that's all there is to it. And fact should be a let. Okay, all right. Okay, and run the test. Oh, hold on, var should not be there. Oh, I forgot to use const keyword. There it is. Run the test, and that's it. The chapter is now completed. Again, I want to remind anybody who's watching that for me it is showing 100% complete because I already finished this course. But for you, it will show you the percentage of the chapters that you have completed. So this is like the 10th chapter, so that may be 5 or 6%, because there are 133 chapters. So this is like 6% or something. Okay, let's keep going. I'm not going to take a break yet. I think I'll do a few more chapters before I continue. So the next chapter is add two numbers with JavaScript. So once again, I hope I'm counting these chapters correctly. So what I'm doing is, this is the next chapter. All right. Still trying to learn, PowerPoint. It's still not as convenient as I want it to be, but I don't have anything better than this. So I'm just going to stick to it. Maybe I should change this color. Hold on. Let me choose a different color. I like it. Okay, the next chapter is adding two numbers in JavaScript. Now, I'm assuming that you already have some basic knowledge about mathematics. If you want to be a developer, you need to know basic math. That's just how it works. It's not like you need a degree or something. It's not like you need to be an expert in mathematics. Okay, I'm going to give you my own example. When I was in engineering, plus when I did my MBA and all that, I was terrible at math. I would only get like passing grade in all math related subjects. And now, almost 20 years later, I'm working as a professional tutor and a professional, retired developer and all that. So you don't need like a super smart, in-depth knowledge of mathematics, but you need to know the basic math, like high school math or primary school math or kindergarten math. That's more than enough to get you through as a software developer, but you still need to be able to do math though. So now we are starting the math section. So adding two numbers with JavaScript is very straightforward. We have the plus operator. You'll hear this word a lot, operator. You know, I play this game called where is that? Let me show you. I play this game called where did that go? Yeah, I play this game called Call of Duty. Yeah, I like that game. I really do. I play every, like there you go. That's Call of Duty for me. That's that's from my game. That's all the photos from my game. Yeah. So I play this game called Call of Duty, where an operator is another player in the game. So normally I play this. This thing called not Battle Royale. I can't play Battle Royale. I'm not that good. I'm not a Battle Royale guy. So what I normally play is DMZ. Yes, so DMZ is the mode I play in Call of Duty. In that game, operators are other players in the game. So who will either try to be friendly with you, or they'll try to kill you the first chance they get. So they are operators. No, we are not talking about that operator. No, sir. Meanwhile, I want to mention that if you're trying to become a developer, I really think you should spend some time gaming. If you're a first-time learner, a majority of my students are like older students, like university students, or people who are like married and things like that, and they're trying to change industry and things like that. Then, which means you're already older. You're 20 or you're 30, or maybe you're older than 30, 40, 45. I've had older students learn from me, and I am a huge believer. I'm a huge believer that video games help you in becoming a better developer. I'm a huge believer in that. Maybe it's not the most right thing to say as a tutor, because a lot of people, they confuse gaming with addiction. I mean when you think about it, everything can be an addiction. Anything is bad. People say drink water is good, but if you drink too much water, then you'll spend the entire day going to the bathroom. So even water is not good. So honestly, see, everything, if you do too much, is bad for health. So gaming, again, there is a lot of negative connotation about gaming, but in reality, if you're able to play in a balanced way, I'm telling you, it can really help you as a programmer, because when you're playing video games, you are doing a lot of things. You're thinking tactically. You're thinking, you're learning to work in a team. You're doing math. You're applying logic. For example, when I'm playing, I don't know from which angle, from the top, from the bottom, from below, from right side, left side. I don't know who is going to attack me and when, and I need to be switching weapons. I need to be throwing grenades and all that. And all that math, all that thinking, it is like going to the gym for your brain. So yeah, operator, in Call of Duty, operators are other players. So coming back, in JavaScript, operators are used to make things happen. So in this case, we can use the plus operator to add numbers. So it's very easy. So what they're asking me to do is, all I have to do is, right now, the sum is 10. And I need to make it 20. So how do I do that? So I already have 10 here. Oh, wait a second. What happened to my, whiteboard? Hold on. I was using paint in the lab. I was just thinking, why am I not drawing things? Okay, there we go. I'm going to use purple. Okay, so let's look at what we are trying to do. So the sum should be 20. Right now I have sum equals 10 plus 0. Now the target is 20. So 20 minus 10 equals 10. So I should change this to sum equals 10 plus 10, and that will become 20. So that's what we are trying to do, right? So let's go back here. So I'm going to go ahead and update this. Okay, and then I run the test, and that's it. That's how you use the plus operator. Okay, and yes, in Call of Duty Warzone, operator are other players who might team up with you, or they might try to kill you. So that's another kind of operator. So let's keep going. my dear students. So yeah, they do this though. Anybody who's watching this, this website is really useful. And if you have some money, please do donate money to these guys. I want to donate, but I'm still paying off my pandemic debt. Yeah, still suffering from the effects of the pandemic. I got hurt real bad in the pandemic, financially and emotionally. Yeah, it's a sad story, but hey, it's okay. Stuff happens. So the moment I'm out of debt, I'll be making a huge donation to these guys. But meanwhile, anybody else who's watching this, if you feel this is useful, it is useful, and you have some money to spare, don't forget to donate some money to them. Okay. So all right, there we go. Okay, so next chapter is subtraction. So let's put this in the PowerPoint. Okay, this is chapter number 12, and here we go. Okay, subtraction is of course the opposite of things. So let's look at this here. So once again, let me go ahead and this is what I don't understand about these software, like this software, right? I mean, why isn't there an option to clear this page? I don't understand. How can anyway, so I'm gonna say new. Okay, so why is there no option to clear? So what we have 45, right? And we are supposed to make that 12. So let's think about that. So I have 45 and I'm supposed to make this 12. So 45 minus 12, 5 minus 2 is 3, 4 minus 1 is 3. So 33. So what is the code here? The code is I have difference equals 45 minus 0. So I'm going to say D equals 45 minus 33, and that will become 12. So that's the answer. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is another thing I want my students to appreciate, like coding, any kind of coding really, even when you work on a project, and in general, coding is like solving puzzles. Okay, so if you are naturally good at solving puzzles, if you like solving puzzles, if you like tackling challenges, then you will definitely enjoy programming. Seriously, people who enjoy solving puzzles, they are naturally suited for a career in coding. Now, what if you're not naturally inclined? Then you can artificially incline yourself to solving challenges. Not everything has to be natural. I'm born in India. I don't naturally speak English, but here I am. My entire livelihood depends on English. So I'm not a natural English speaker. I've become a, artificially natural English speaker. So many, because I use English day in and out, even my thoughts, internal thoughts, it happens in English. I've stopped using my natural language, my mother tongue, even for my internal thoughts, because I use English day in and out. So there you go. So don't worry, if you're not naturally inclined to solving puzzles, you can artificially incline yourself to solving puzzles. Okay, all right then. So how do we do this? So 45 minus 33, and let's do a console log. You'll see that I do this a lot, console log. Okay, it's called caveman debugging, so it's very useful. So 12 is what they wanted, and I've gotten 12. So let me run the test, and there it is. It's working just fine. Next chapter then, multiplication. You can see what's happening here. Yes, you can see that they're just running. The course is simply running us through the basic math things. That's it. That's why I told you don't need to be like a genius in mathematics. You just need to know the basic, kid stuff, nothing to worry about. So okay, let's do this quickly then. So 8 should become 80. So as usual, I like to do console.log. Okay, so there you go. Output should be 80. So I just need to change the 0 to a 10, and that's all there is to it. So there you go. It says here I'm on fire. Thank you so much. This website does this constantly, just trying to boost your morale It may not boost your morale, but I like it. For me, even simple things, they make me very happy. And that's very important. When you're coding, all right, not just coding, when you're learning anything, you need to be self-congratulatory. It's very important to praise yourself and let yourself know that you are making good progress. All right, don't forget to like yourself. Don't forget to enjoy your life. Life is filled with a lot of problems, man. I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying it. Okay, I have another podcast. I know. I have a lot of podcasts. The other day, my friend was joking that I have too many podcasts, even though I don't have many listeners. But I don't care. My life is pretty sad, so I like to do things which make me happy. And for whatever reason, podcasting makes me happy. So yeah, when you're learning coding, especially in the early days, don't be surprised if it frustrates anything new. Learning a programming language is like, well, it's like learning a new language. Imagine you find yourself in a foreign nation or another region in the same country, and it has a different language. It's very frustrating because everybody around you is joking around and having fun, but you can't understand the jokes. You can't understand the movies. You can't laugh at a joke. You don't understand the culture because you don't understand the language. So it's scary. And then you start learning, and then, but in the beginning it's going to be very difficult. But once you get the basics, soon you start picking up new words and so on and so forth. So there you go. The same thing will happen with coding. So just be cool with yourself every time you do even a single chapter. Don't forget to praise yourself. Even if nobody likes you or nobody loves you, don't forget you have yourself, which is very important. Okay. All right, guys. So let's keep going. So multiply two numbers. So that is done. Let's keep going. These early chapters are very simple. We can do them really, really fast. So the next chapter is divide one number by another with JavaScript. So let's do this. So once again, it is basic math. Okay. So what we're trying to do here is saying that I have 66 and the output is supposed to be 2. So 66 should be divided by 33, right? 33 into 2 is 66. So I'm going to say console.log quotient. Okay, again, basic math. You know what a quotient is. So let me do some drawing for you. So I'm going to say new purple. So what I'm doing here is, this is, hold on. So this is how we used to do it in India in schools. We draw. So the quotient should be 2. So I have 33 into 2. No, the quotient should be 0. Oh, hold on. Let me start again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, you have, purple. Hold on. I like purple. So 66, and this is the divider. This is the number you're trying to divide, and the answer should be 0. So 33 into 2. This is the quotient, right? This is the quotient. This is called the quotient. So 33 into 2 is 66. So 66 minus 66 is 0, 0. So this is called a quotient. So the quotient should be 2. And that's what I'm doing here. So 66 divided by 33. 2 is the quotient. 0 is the remainder. And that's 0. It's 2. 2 is what we want. And there it is. It's correct. Again, boom shakalaka. I like it very much. Boom shakalaka. Okay. Let's keep moving. These are simple chapters. I need not dwell too much on these things. So let me keep going until I hit something which is complex. So incrementing. Yes. The next chapter is increment. This bothers for whatever reason. I've been tutoring for like 10 years now. For whatever reason, incrementing bothers a lot of people. So let's do some drawings, right? Let's do some drawings. So what is increment? Now, when you look at anything in life, okay, anything, seriously, a lot of things in life, they increase by 1, right? Like today, the date is, let's look at the date. So today, the date is 17th of March. Tomorrow, it will be 18th of March. And after that, it becomes 19th of March. Then it becomes 20th of March. And it keeps going. Now, as I am doing this session, I am almost 40. And after a year, I will become 41. And after a year, assuming I don't die, of course, I will become 42. And then I will become 43. Once again, assuming that I don't die. So again, you can see here, okay? So like right now, the time in India is, 1 p.m. And after some time, it will become 2 p.m. And after some time, it will become 3 p.m. And after some time, it will become 4 p.m. Now, hopefully, you are seeing a pattern here. So a lot of things in life, they increase or decrease by 1. So 1 is such an important number in everybody's life. I mean, I'm not saying other numbers are not important, but 1 is really the most important number in the world, because everything around you increases or decreases by 1. Now you must understand at the end of the day, what is a software? What is an app? You know, right now when I'm talking to you, I'm using my computer, I'm using the Paint app, I'm using the PowerPoint app, I'm using the online website, Free Code Camp, I'm using Twitch Studio to stream this class. All this software, what are they trying to do? They're trying to help you do something which you may not be able to do in real life. For example, ideally, I would have liked it if I was doing this session in a real building with a real whiteboard and a real classroom in front of real students. Now, for any number of reasons, limitations of facilities, limitations of time, limitations of geography, and limitations of money, I'm not able to do that. But thanks to software, I'm able to conduct this classroom session from my home. I'm able to stream this classroom to Twitch. And one day, assuming this works out, I may have 10, 20, 100 students tuning in to my virtual classroom. Now that is what software is all about. Similarly, in real life, increasing or decreasing by 1 is a common activity. It is mathematics, just like how you have 1 plus 1 equals 2 or 1 plus 10 equals 11. There is an operator to increase or decrease something easily in JavaScript. So instead of doing something like this, obviously you can do something like this. You already know about the plus operator. So you want to increment by 1, you can just type it like this, and that will definitely work. So you can see here, I'm going to do a console log. Okay, let me copy paste that here also. You can see here that, okay, it was 87 and it became 88. So this is perfectly fine. However, coding, any kind of software development is ultimately about optimization. You'll hear this word optimization a lot as you become more of an experienced developer. You have something that is happening, and then you need to make it better, right? You have to make it better. I mean, that's the whole point of life. Every day you hope and pray that tomorrow will be better, but things don't become better automatically. You have to work towards it. Similarly, we are well aware that yes, you can increase by 1 using this code. It's perfectly valid, but is there a way to make that better? And that is what the increment operator is going to do. So let's go for it. So instead of doing it that way, I could simply do like this. Now check it out. Now you can see here the output hasn't changed. We are still getting the same output. It was 87 before, and it is 88 now. So that is my var plus plus. So what is the benefit here? The benefit is, now look at this one. Look how long the code is. It's like 5 characters plus another 5 characters, spaces and equals and the plus symbol and all this. It's a lot of characters, but instead of that, you can simply use a shortcut. Coding is a lot to do with shortcuts. People are always trying to do one better way to do things. It's very important because it saves cost. Trust me, it saves cost. So that's the idea here. So the idea here is you can increment or decrement. We'll talk about that in the next chapter, like this. However, if you can make it shorter, which is more efficient and consumes less resources and is far more optimized. So that's the idea here. Use whenever you want to increment by 1. Okay, by 1. What if you want to increment by some other number? We'll worry about that later. But as of now, we are just trying to increment by 1. So we can simply use the plus operator, just like how equals is an operator, plus is an operator, plus is another operator. So in programming, you'll see a lot of these symbols being used as operators. You will just have to get used to it. So every symbol on the keyboard has some kind of a meaning, has a syntax on how to use it. In the beginning, it will be confusing. However, after a while, I'm telling you, you'll get used to it. These days, I'm walking down the road and I see a plus symbol. I think, okay, that's like addition. But if I see 2 pluses, obviously, immediately my brain is thinking, okay, so by 1. It happens, when you're a developer, you can't detach your professional life with a personal life. I don't think there's anybody can actually do that. People are always saying, hey, you know what, you can separate your professional life with personal life. You can just detach yourself. How does that work? It is your professional life that helps you earn a living. So everything you do in your personal life is directly dependent on what you do in your professional life. And similarly, let's say I want to learn something. I need to set aside some time. I need to adjust my lifestyle and learn new things. And then that may help me get a better job or earn more money and something. So my personal life directly influences my professional life. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me, but even in an young age, every time people would say like, hey, you're going to keep your professional and personal life separate. I'm like, how is that possible? These two things are intertwined. There's no way to do the separation. But anyway, that's just me. There's a coming back. So there you go. Whenever you want to increment, plus operator is your best friend. Well, actually, he's the only friend for that. So let's go ahead and reset it. So what do they want me to do? They want me to use plus on my var. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to say plus and delete the rest of it. You'll notice that I really don't have to use the semicolon, but I do use it because originally I started coding in C and then C++ and then eventually Java and C#. So in those languages, you have to use a semicolon. So I got used to it, so I do the same thing in JavaScript as well. All right, there it is. That's easy enough. Increment a number in JavaScript. As I mentioned, decrement is the exact opposite of it. Okay, so that is the next chapter. So let's add that to my slide, chapter number 16. And let's put this here, and there you go, decrement a number with JavaScript. So it's going to be the exact opposite. So I'm going to quickly do it. I'm not going to go into another lengthy storytelling. Okay, again, I think it's obvious by now. If you are not a big fan of listening to stories, then I'm not the right tutor for you. My way of teaching is, just tell a lot of stories. I feel it makes for better learning. But again, there's no rule that one single style will work for everybody. So really, it depends on you, of course. There you go. That's about Kool-Aid Man says, "Oh yeah." So there you go. Another motivation stuff. But I do get bored with the gray thing, though. I wish there were some colors. I'm more of a colors guy. Okay, so that takes care of it. Let's keep going here. What is the next chapter? Now, create decimal numbers with JavaScript. This is again very, very straightforward. You know what a decimal number is. It has like okay, so how do we do it? So let's go ahead, and they're saying I can use what they want me to create a decimal variable. Decimal is nothing but numbers which have a decimal value, like half, 0.5. So I'm going to do that. So a semicolon, yeah. And then let me put this here in the slide. I should not forget this, I need to track the chapters I'm teaching. Even if things move really fast, I need to slow down and make sure I mention the chapter number in my PowerPoint. Because now things are moving really fast, but they're not going to move fast all the time. Okay, I have my water bottle here. I'm speaking a lot, so my mouth is getting dry like crazy. Okay, let's do this. So okay, so there we go. Run the test, and we have passed. Kool-Aid Man says, "Oh yeah." Ooh, okay. Multiply to this. Again, there's nothing different about it. So again, it's pretty straightforward. So what they want me to do, same thing we did before. Multiplying is the star symbol. So that's the star operator or multiplication operator. So they want me to make it 5. So 2 into 2.5. Basic math again. Let's run this. There we go. We have liftoff, my friends. We have liftoff. Okay, let's keep going. Did I put that in the PowerPoint? No, sir. Boom. Okay, let's go ahead and copy the chapter title. Okay, there we go. So once again, let's run the test. We have liftoff. Boom. Ooh, okay, so divide one decimal by another. Same thing that we did before. The division operator is the same whether you're using decimal numbers or you're using non-decimal numbers. It really doesn't make a difference. It's the same thing, so it should be easy enough. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to say that the quotient should be equal to 2.2. So there you go. Oh, they've given the answer already, so I'm gonna just use the answer. So many times give you the answer in the bottom, so I don't have to work too hard about it. So the quotient should be 2.2. So I have 2 here. So 2 into 2.2. So let me get my drawing here. So yeah, purple. So I have let's see, I have 2.0 and the answer should be 2.2. Quotient should be 2.2. So you simply multiply that. So that becomes 4.4. So there you go. So this is the quotient. This is the target number. So I'm going to come here. Quotient equals 4.4. And if you want, I'll put a console.log. And there it is, and there it is, 2.2. That is what they wanted, and I just want to make sure I put that in my. And oh, wait a second, the quotient variable should only be assigned once. I think they are complaining about the console log. There you go. They didn't like me using K-man debugging. That was a problem. And you know what? I am unstoppable. Yes, I'm like an unstoppable coding tutor. Me and my lame jokes. Okay, all right, let's keep going. Okay, the next thing is finding a remainder. I already told you what a remainder is. So for those who don't know, for some reason this remainder thing bothers a lot of students. I don't know why. So let's say you have a number like say 9 and you're trying to divide it by 2, which is an even number. So 2 into 4 is 8. So this 1, the leftover, okay, is the remainder. This is called a remainder. This is quotient. This is the target number. This is the dividing number. So remainder is this. So let's say you're trying to find out 9 and 2. What is the remainder? Is obviously 1. So that's where you have the remainder operator. So what do they want me to do is they want you to set remainder equal to the remainder of 11 by 3. So I'm going to say 11. For remainder, the operator is the percentage symbol. I think some people call it, wait, what is it called? Percentage symbol is called the percentage symbol, right? There is a separate word for that. I don't know. I don't care. So I'll just call it the remainder operator. So 11 remainder of 3 semicolon, and then whoa, I need to make sure I put these things in the PowerPoint. See, this is what I'm talking about. The whole idea behind me doing these virtual classes is I want to to the system of using all these tools. Okay, so this chapter is called Finding a Remainder in JavaScript. And also get used to using PowerPoint. I don't use PowerPoint all that much. I mean, I use it. I mean, actually, you know what? I do use PowerPoint almost every week because I'm a tutor. Oh my God, I am a regular user of PowerPoint. I just realized that. Okay, so the topic is finding a remainder. So it's chapter number 20th, and that's it. Boom. And the website knew that I could do it. So thank you for continuing to motivate me. So the next chapter is compound assignment. Oh, okay. The words are getting a little complex now. So chapter number 21. Okay, there we go. Compound assignment with augmented addition. You know what? Don't worry with all these words like compound assignment, augmented. You know, it's just basic math, man. Come on, it's just basic math. So what do they want me to do? So they want me to use the plus equals operator. So they want me to use ABC to use the plus equal operator. Remember when I told you that, you know, in life, a lot of things increment by 1, right? We talked about it. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3. But sometimes you know, not everything, you know, increments with 1. You know, sometimes something, you know, there are some things which will increment by a higher value. You know, something is like 5 and then it becomes 10. You know, like when you're climbing stairs, for example, or rather when you're coming down from stairs, you know, especially children, or when you're younger, let's say you are in stair number 0. I mean, yes, you know, logically you should go to the from step number 0 to step number 1, and then you go to step number 2. But if you're younger, you know, kids and stuff like that, they are in step number 0 and they'll try to jump to the 5th step. You know, they think it's fun and it's, they have the energy. You know, that's the thing about being kids, isn't it? You have so much energy and you have to spend it. So, you know, kids, you when they're going down the stairs, they're in the first step, and then they'll jump 5 steps, reach fire directly, and then they'll try to jump the 10th step. Or if you play video games, again, platform games like Tomb Raider and stuff like that, you have to do stuff like this. So you jump from one value to another, and even kids, they try to maintain like a universal value. So when you have stuff like this, you use the plus equals operator. So here a is increasing by 12. So you can always say a equals a plus 12. Instead of that, you could simply say a plus equals 12. So, you know, it's much shorter, right? So there we go. Again, remember what I told you about programming. Ultimately, this whole thing is about just making things shorter and optimized. So again, plus equals 7. There it is. So instead of incrementing them directly by using the longer version like this, we use the shorthand expression. And now I'm sure it is passed. Oh, there you go. I am once again unstoppable. And I think I've been tutoring for like an hour now, so maybe it's a good time for me to take a break. So let me put this chapter title in the PowerPoint. Okay, all right. Okay, there you go. And I am taking a break here, so I think I need to create a break slide, you know. So let me do one thing here. I'm gonna create this slide. I'm gonna say on break, you know, let's add some exclamation symbols. Why not? Let's add 10. You know, overuse, you know, abuse the exclamation symbol. You know, I'm gonna, here I don't know what to put. I'm just gonna say I'll be back, you know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. Okay, all right. So I can't do the Arnold accent. I haven't watched his movies in a while, so I can't even pretend to do his accent. So I'll be back. So what I want to do is, I think it might be nice for me to change this background color, you know, just to know or tell people that I'm on a break. Ah, there you go. Pattern, texture. Oh, ooh, okay. What do I like? Oh, I like this water thing. Ooh, okay, I like that. The background is blue. I don't think the foreground should also be blue. So let's change that to hello, orange, red. Ooh, that's too bold. That's too bold. Green, green, green. No, no. Okay. Blue. No, not blue again. No, orange. Oh, hold on. You know what? I like blue. It's fine. It's readable. It's fine. I like purple. Okay, so there we go. I don't know when I'll be back from break. So, okay, so when we come back, we'll resume with chapter 22. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, but I will play some music though. Hold on. I will play some music. I made this music. Okay, I made this music on my own. So. Okay. I took a short break. Once again, I apologize for not being able to specify how long the break is going to be. I'm sorry about that. But hopefully, whoever is watching, they will realize that when the music is on, I'm on a break, and when the music goes away, I'm not on a break. And I made that music myself. Like I used the iPad GarageBand. There's this thing called loops. Okay, I just tapped some buttons here and there and recorded it, and the thing is on Twitch or YouTube and things like that, if you don't make your own music, it's a nightmare. You have to deal with a lot of copyright strike downs and things like that. I don't want to get involved in it. Like, I'm not complaining. I understand, musicians need to get paid for what they do. It makes sense. But I'm from the software industry. In the software industry, we are so used to getting our libraries and things like that for free, and without having to worry about licenses, stuff like that. So it's just a different world. So I was like, okay, I don't want any of that problem. So I just made music. GarageBand was easy to use. So it's Apple, everything is easy to use with Apple. Okay. So let's resume. So I was talking about the exact opposite of the addition, which is subtraction. So this will be very straightforward. So let's go ahead. All we have to do is, just like we used plus equals, we just need to use minus equals. So symmetry, right? In life, everything is symmetry. If you go left, there's always an option to go right. So that's just how it works. So let's go ahead and quickly make that change. Nothing fancy going on here. Okay, just the basic operator usage. All right, there we go. That's all there is to it. Just the opposite, mirror image of what we did with the plus equals operator. So there we go. Gotta code them all. I think that's a Pokemon reference. I think there's a game called Pokemon Go, or rather just Pokemon, where you go and collect all the Pokemons. I think that's where that word comes from. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, all right, that's the next one. Let's see. Same thing, same thing. But I do want to put these titles in the PowerPoint. I don't want to stop this habit. So it's the same thing. Very, very quick chapters here. We'll get to the difficult ones. Of course. So 22, 23. There you go. Multiply equals 5. Multiply, equals 3. Okay, and then multiply equals 10. Yeah, I think that's all there is to it. So let's run the test. There you go. I definitely make this look easy, and you will do it easily as well, my dear student. I promise you will. Okay, multiplication and then division. So once again, ooh, all right. Okay, same thing. Slash, and then okay, there it is, and voila, Pikachu choose you. Yes, sir. Okay, now we are slightly difficult things. Okay, literal. Okay, all right. So chapter 25, and we are now at escaping literal quotes in strings. Now strings, a lot of string things we end up doing in JavaScript, because life everything is a string, just like numbers. You use strings all the time. Like right now I'm speaking, all my words are nothing but strings. So that is what this is. But the problem is, when you use double quotes, what if you want to put a double quote in your double quote? And that becomes a problem. Like, for example, you can see here now, this is my sentence, right? const my string equals this. But what if I want a string inside a string? You see, it is a problem, because I want to do something like this. Like, I want to say, hello, how are you, said Sherlock Holmes. Now what if this is a sentence that I want? I want a sentence, let me use a PowerPoint for that. So let's say I want a sentence which is like this. Hello, I am, let's use Bond, James Bond, I'm Bond, James Bond, said James Bond, right? Let's say I want a sentence like this. So what is happening here? Now, if I don't have this double quote, okay, so let me make a copy of this. This is another thing I don't like about pop. Why isn't there an option to duplicate this? Why do I have to do copy paste? Why isn't there an option to just duplicate this? What's the reason for that? I don't know, man. Okay, all right. So I have to copy paste. Why can't there be a button called duplicate? I don't know. So let's say I don't want these double quotes. So I just want to do something like this. Now this is easy. I can copy this directly. I can go here and I can dump it. And I will get, I can't use, hold on. So there you go. See, that works. This is a string and it says Bond, James Bond, said James Bond. So this works. But we both know that this is not correct. I mean, that's not how English or any language, you need to put these quotes to indicate dialogue. Okay, you can't this is okay, this may be accurate from a programming perspective, but it's not accurate from an English perspective. So we need to be able to put a double quote. Now the thing is, when you're using a string, you have to use a double quote. So what happens when you want to use a double quote inside a double quote? Now that is called escaping. So escaping is when you want to use something which has another meaning. So here, if you look at this sentence, I want to be able to use a double quote inside another double quote so that it looks proper, right? So I need to escape that. So what I do is I will go here and I'm going to say slash, right? And I'm going to go here and I put another slash. And now you can see I'm getting the actual answer. The name is Bond. Bond said James Bond. Now that looks better. So whenever you want to use something inside another string, usually something like a double quote and stuff like that, you use what is called as escaping. So what happens is, so double quote means a string, but then you also want a double quote to appear inside the string. So you don't want to break the syntax. Okay, so whenever you want to use a symbol which has another meaning, then we can use the escaping option to inform JavaScript. Okay, now when you're coding JavaScript, you have to understand, when you're doing any kind of coding, you are literally giving instructions to the computer. It's like when you give instruction to a child or something, right? So you tell a child like, hey, okay, go and sit there. Most of the time the child will go and do that. And if you tell the child to jump up and down, then the child will do it, because children, they have a lot of energy. So imagine the programming language is like that child with a lot of energy. So it'll only do what you ask it to do. So if you're gonna use a double quote, which means a string, inside another double quote, there must be a way to inform this programming child that, hey man, you know what, I'm gonna use a double quote inside a double quote, so I'm gonna let you know by using a slash, a backward slash, because there is a forward slash as well, which you already seen. We use it for comments and division. So this is a backward slash. Okay, so backward slash is called the escaping option. Okay, so there you go, that's how it works. So what do they want me to do? So they want me to get a sentence like this. So I'm going to copy this. Very important, when you're dealing with strings, it's a good idea to always copy. Okay, so I'm going to put this inside. Now I got an error right away. Okay, so I'm going to put the backslash here and here and here and here and wait a second. There we go. And that's, I think, is the answer. So see, this is what I was supposed to get, and I have got it. So I am a double quoted string inside double quotes. Nice. So let's go ahead and run the test. And I am a star. I'm definitely a star. And if you were able to do this, you are a star as well. Okay, let's keep going. Now, wait a second. Did I put this already? Yeah, I did put the chapter. Okay, let's go to the next chapter then. So next chapter is going to be chapter 26, and that is quoting strings with single quotes. Okay, all right. So now you already saw how to use, you know what? My neighbor's dog is barking like crazy. I'm going to close the window here. Hold on. I don't know if the microphone is able to pick it up, but my ears are definitely picking it up. Okay. Okay, all right, here we go. So next thing we are going to do is quoting strings with single quotes. Now remember what I keep saying, in programming and in software development, there is always more than one way to get something done. You know, there is, for example, you saw war. It had some limitations. So they came up with let. Okay, so I mean, who knows what else they will come up with in the future, right? So similarly, you know, we have one way of dealing with strings, you know, double quotes and escaping characters and whatnot. There is another way to interact with strings, and that is using single quotes. Okay, so let's see how that works. So there you go. So instead of using double quotes, we can simply use single quotes to make a string, and it actually makes your life a little easy. So let's go for it here. So what they're trying to say is, I'm going to not use double quotes here and here, and see, that's it. Now if I had to use double quotes in this situation, then I had to, you know, use escaping. See, you can see here, this person has written a lot of escaping characters, right? So that they can use double quotes inside double quotes. But to make our life easy, we can simply put a single quote inside, and then we can use double quotes as much as we want. Okay, now I'm going to repeat that one more time because I've seen many students, they get confused with this one. So I'm going to reset the lesson, and I'm going to go back to my drawing board here. So let's go ahead, and what happens is, so if you are using double quotes on the outside, okay, then you write something, and then you want to use double quotes again. Okay, this is gonna give you an error. So what you do is you use a backslash, and then write stuff, double quote, backslash, write things, backslash, double quote, write things. And again, if you want double quotes, backslash, double quotes, write things, backslash, double quotes, and write more things. Now this is one way of doing it. Now another way to make your life a little easy is, you write something, double quote, then you write something, double quote, write something, double quote, write something, keep writing, double quotes, and then you write something. So what you could do is, you could simply put a single quote at the beginning and at the end, and that's all there is to it. That makes your life easy. You don't have to spend your entire day putting escape sequences. So that's the advantage. Now you may be thinking though, like if you're just learning programming and you keep thinking, okay, then what is the point of escape characters? Why not just use single quote all the time? Why bother with escape code? See, that is the thing though. So as you learn programming, as you spend more time with coding, you'll realize that you will run into scenarios where the only way to, each of these things is like a tool, right? Like for example, when you feel hunger, there are so many different ways you can deal with it. For example, today I'm doing this session. I plan to do a really long session if I can. So I can't sit down and have a grand 30-minute or 45-minute multiple course meal. Sure. This is my own workshop. I can do what I want. Yes, definitely. But I would like to keep my breaks as short as possible. So I will eat something which is easy to eat, faster to eat, and so on and so forth. However, if I'm not taking a session or if I have an entire day free to myself, then I will cook something really, really grand. I'll take my own sweet time to cook ingredients, slow cook it, slow boil it and all that stuff, right? And then I'll have a nice grand meal at the end of the day. I've spent the entire day cooking. Same thing with programming. So depending on scenario, depending on what you're trying to do, you will use different type of code, different type of syntax. So if your scenario is something like this, then go ahead, use a single quote. But you might run into another scenario where this may not be appropriate, or you don't want to use it for any number of reasons. So that is why you have so many different options. So there you go. This is another way in which you can build strings, in another way you can reflect dialogue and things like that. So let's do that one more time. So what is happening here? So we are using the escaping option. First step, let's get rid of all the escaping sequences. So there are 4 of them. So 2 are gone and 2 more are gone. Now obviously we are getting errors because we are trying to use a double quote and then we are trying to use another double quote inside it. Now we remove the escaping as well. So one possible solution is to use single quote at the edges, and there it is. Problem solved. Now I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. Okay, this is the part where I am requesting you not to get confused. Okay, there are always multiple ways to do things in programming, and why you would do this way, why you would do another way. Now these are natural questions that I hear from students, and I am telling you, learn different methods, and then as you start building software, scenarios will present themselves and you will know from experience which one is the right one for a specific scenario. And once again, it's like with that video game I told you about. Where is that? Warzone. When I'm playing this video game, there are different tools. Like for example, let's open this photo here. Okay, now look at this situation right now. So what is happening? So I have 2 of my partners here, and I am here. I have I think this is called as a rifle or something, right? So I also have a scope. So which means if I want to, I can zoom in a little bit. I can, yeah, there you go. So do I have a way to draw? Yeah, there you go. So I have my friends here. Okay, so I know that if something goes wrong, if somebody attacks me from the left side, it is better for me to go inside into this door because my friends are inside that building. So if something happens to me, they will help me. And also I can see here that I'm using a rifle with a small scope, which means, if somebody, if an enemy comes here or even here, I should be able to shoot without zooming. And even if somebody comes here, I should be able to zoom to that point. However, if somebody comes here, this gun is of no use. It cannot zoom till here. So using this weapon is inappropriate. So either I should climb up this building and jump, reach this building and then try to take out that guy, or I can simply run till here, take cover here and then try to take out that guy. So what am I doing here? I'm simply adapting to a scenario. Now similarly in programming, you will learn all the different ways to tackle a scenario. Okay, so in some scenarios, using a double quote with escape character makes sense. In another scenario, using a single quote without escape characters makes more sense. And don't forget, you can still use escape characters inside a single quote. I think you can. Let's try it. So if I put an escape character here, see, I'm not getting any error. So you can use it. You can use escape characters in any string, really, right? So there you go. That is the another way to build strings. So if I go ahead and click on, if I go ahead and run the test, I have passed the test and I have reached escape velocity. So for those people who don't know about escape velocity, it's actually to do with Earth's gravity. So now I obviously, most of you know that Earth is actually round. It's not flat, right? Earth is actually round and we are surrounded by gravity, which is kind of weird, right? Now when you think about it, okay, if this is Earth, if I am here, so I am actually upside down. It's crazy, right? Everybody is upside down. So everybody is always upside down. So if you are in another part of Earth, and you may think that you are not upside down, but everybody on Earth is actually always upside down because the Earth is round. And the only reason why I am not falling down is because Earth has gravity. Okay, the gravity makes sure that we don't just fall down. If tomorrow for some reason the gravity should become zero, then all of us will be just thrown away into space, and because there is no oxygen outside in space, we will immediately die. That's just how physics works. Anyway, so what they're talking about escape velocity is when you try to jump. So if you are on Earth and you try to jump, okay, escape velocity is the speed at which you have to jump to escape the gravity of this planet, right? So as long as you are not jumping faster than the escape velocity, you will either stay on Earth or you'll fall back to Earth. But if your speed is more than escape velocity, then you take off from Earth and you'll probably not come back. But don't forget, in space there is no oxygen, which means once you escape Earth, you are probably dead. Anyway, just keep that in mind. So that's what this escape velocity is all about. A little bit of physics. I know this is a computer class, but hey, there's nothing stopping me from discussing a little bit of physics. It's interesting, man. I like it. Okay, let's keep going. So that was quoting strings with single quote, chapter 26. Let's keep going. Okay, escape sequences. See, this is what I've been saying. Escape sequences. What are the different ways you can escape things and introduce things? So let's do that. So this is chapter 27. Okay, and this is escape sequences. Now you will now begin to understand that strings are actually very complex. So this is when you want to get a single quote. This is when you want a double quote. This is when you want a backslash, right? Because what if in your output you want an actual backslash? So then you use // What if you want a new line? You use new line. What if you want a tab? You use /t. What if you want a carriage return? Now, I don't know how many kids will understand this, but in olden days, we used to have this thing called a typewriter. Right, there you go. That's a typewriter. And believe it or not, when I was a kid, I actually went what do you say? I actually a typing institute in India. We used to have those till 2005, I think. I told you, technology moves different in different countries. We still had these schools which would teach us how to use a typewriter. It was actually a job skill. But now, of course, typewriters are gone, and the schools which teach typewriting are gone as well. So that's a typewriter, right? So in typewriter, whenever you want to go to a new line or come back to the next line, we had this thing called carriage return. So it's something to do with this thing, lever, and you kind of pull the lever and then bring it back to the new line and stuff like that. So that's a carriage return. So if you want to do a carriage return, where is that? Whoa, did I miss that? Whoa. Yikes. Did I close that entirely? Come on, man. Did I miss that chapter entirely? Where did that go? Where did that go? Ah, there it is. So that's the carry age return. And finally, you have a word boundary. You know, honestly, I have no idea what that means. And form feed, again, I don't know what that means. I don't use it every day, guys. So you can probably look it up. Okay. So next, what we are trying to do here. So we have to use all these syntaxes. You know, they're called as escape sequences. And our job is to get an output like this. So let's try it. So first step, I'm going to copy these words, put it here, copy this, put it here, copy this, put it here. Now what I want to do is, you know, whenever you're trying to work on an output, it's a good idea to do a console.log. Okay, so you can see the output for yourself. So there it is. Now I have this, so I need to use these things to make it look like this. So that is my job. So let's see. First thing, I want to make them go to separate lines. So to go to a new line, I have new line, which is /n. So after the first word, I'm going to put a /n. So there you go. Then I'm going to come here and type a /n. Okay, all right. So now they have gone to 3 separate lines, which I was able to achieve by using the /n option. And then what I want to do is the second line is kind of pushed forward. Do you see that? It's kind of pushed forward. So that's called a tab. Now the tab is here. So that comes in the beginning. So I want to say, there you go. So this is now pushed by 1 tab. So far so good. And finally I need to show a slash. So I already have a slash. That's not doing anything. But when I put a second slash, boom, that's it. Okay, now I'm going to repeat that one more time. Okay, so let's go here, and I want to say first step, copy this. Okay, and then let's put it in a single line. Okay, and now, so there you go. As always, we'll do the K-man debugging. Nice. So I can keep an eye on the output. So see, another thing, you know, whenever you're working on something, I like to use K-man debugging so that I can look at the output as I'm working on it, you know, because the coding is not something where you just do stuff and then you hope the output is correct. It's not magic. It happens one step at a time. Okay. So here also I want to get the output one step at a time. So first thing I want to do is move these things to separate lines. So for that, I want to use /n. So I'll go here, /n. Good, that's fine. I'll go here, /n. All right, first step done. Second step, I need to push the second line. Now that's a tab for pushing. So that has to come here. So /t. And it's been pushed. Now the next thing is I need to show this symbol. You know, I need to show this symbol. How do I show that? That's a backslash. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to, I already have a slash there, so I'm going to put one more. There it is. So if I were to run the test, I have passed it, and I have passed at ludicrous speed. I know I've heard this expression. I just can't tell which, wait, ludicrous speed is from the Star Wars parody movie by Mel Brooks. You know, Mel Brooks made a parody movie of Star Wars. Hold on. So I told you I'm a huge movie guy. So he made a Spaceballs. Yeah. So yeah, you know, Spaceballs, I believe, is the movie in which you have this ludicrous speed dialogue. Yeah, I think so. I remember hearing that dialogue in that movie. So ludicrous speed is a dialogue from the movie Spaceballs. Okay, all right. So this is done. So let me make sure I put escape sequences there in the chapter. Okay, let's keep going. So concatenating strings with the plus operators. Oh, we are back to some basic mathematics. So let's go ahead, put the chapter number here, and there we go. All right then. So concatenating strings with the plus operator. Now you will remember previously that we were able to add numbers using the plus operator. You can do the exact same thing with strings as well. You can combine, well, rather we are not combining strings. You can think of it more like we are kind of pushing them together, you know, like merging them, like building strings. So let's do it. So what they want is they want me to build my string. So as usual, when you're working with strings, you want to put the variable here. So there you go, the output is currently empty. So what they want is they want me to use two strings. Now I want to remind the students, you need to make sure you don't type these things. I've seen some people, you know, they look at something and they feel like typing it, and I'm like, why? You'll make mistakes. So don't do that. So don't type things. Copy paste, Control C, Control V, and then I want to use a plus, and again I want to use a double quote. Now don't forget, you can use a single quote as well. Nothing is stopping you from using a single quote. Nothing wrong about that. Okay, there we go. So I'm getting it. So what is the output they're expecting? Now you'll notice that they want, this is the start with a full stop, and then this is the end with a full stop. You'll also notice there is a small gap here. So what I want to do is I want to do one more plus. Okay, so I want to add a small gap. So now I have a gap now. See? So if I run the test now, hold on, did I put this? There we go. And there it is. I'm a wizard, Harry. So this is obviously from the first Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So this is from the first movie. I recognize it. I like Harry Potter. I have all the books. I have all the novels. I have the audiobooks. I got the whole set, man. I watched these movies so many times. You know, Harry Potter really helped me in my childhood. Yeah. Good movies, man. Good movies. Okay. But the new movies, you know, what is that? Fantastic Beasts nonsense. You know, I have to say, Fantastic Beasts are some of the most terrible movies ever made. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, I was excited. I mean, I don't know this character. I don't know why he has that bizarre expression in all three movies. I guess some people find that cute or something, but I'm so sorry. Expression is cool, like for 5 minutes, but then after a while it becomes very, very annoying. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, the first movie was okay, I guess. It was still boring, but then after that, the second and the third movie, especially Secrets of Dumbledore, was such a horrible movie. Just terrible. But anyway, let's come back to reality here. Let's continue with our plan. Okay, there you go. You're a wizard, Harry. So there you go. So happy they stopped making the movies. I think they stopped making it. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so just like we were able to use the plus equals operator when we are doing math, it is possible to use the plus equals operator with strings as well. See, this is another thing you'll notice in programming. You know, one thing builds on top of another thing. You know, operators which do one thing in a certain scenario will behave differently in another scenario, and you will have to kind of get used to it. So remember what I told you, just like that, you know, Call of Duty thing I told you about. Depending on the scenario, you need to figure out how you want to approach a specific situation. Okay, same thing with programming. So depending on what you're trying to do, what type of data you're dealing with, you will realize that the same operator behaves in a separate way or in an entirely different way, or maybe the operator would not work at all. Again, there's no rule like, okay, when to do this, when to do that. These are things which will come with experience, which means the only way to do things is to practice. You have to practice. That is the only way. You have to practice. You have to repeat yourself, learn, make notes, repeat, learn, make notes. That's just how programming works. Okay, so let's keep going then. So what are they trying to make me do? So they want me to build this string mystr. So I'm going to do console.log mystr, and they have they want us to use the first, this is the first sentence. So I'm going to say, so I have to use the plus equals operator. So I'm going to say mystr plus equals. Okay, then they want me to use the second sentence. So mystr plus equals Now this is the second sentence. Okay. Okay, and then is that it? So the I think that's it. See? Oh, there's an undefined. Hold on. I need to start it with a blank. Oh, okay. So the output is supposed to be, this is the first sentence, and then the output should be, this is the second sentence. Now I already have it, but there is a small space here. So I want to go and add a space. Now, once again, I want to remind my students that there are different ways of doing this. For example, you could use double quotes if you want. You could, and I'm mixing and matching now, it's fine. And I want to add a space. So there you go. That's what they're expecting. So let's go for it. Let's run the test. And all right. Wait, which movie is this from? All right, all right, all right. I know Matthew McConaughey says that, you know, like, all right, all right, all right. He says that not these days, but when he was younger, it was like his calling card. I think that's from that. Anyway, so that is about how you would use plus equals when you're dealing with strings. Okay. Next, constructing string with variables. So again, you know, we are back to doing what we did with our basic mathematical stuff. So let's go ahead and do this here, chapter number 30. And then I want to constructing string with variables. So, you know, with numbers, you can use variables. You can use strings with variables also. So what do they want me to do? So first step, they want me to take this my name and they want me to put my name. So I'm going to put my name. And then they want me to build my str with my name between the strings. So there are two strings. So I'm going to take this. There is a space as well. So two strings. So that is a plus first one. And then there's a second string. Okay, that's the second one. Okay, and they want me to use my name between these two strings. So between these two, so I'm going to say plus my name plus. Okay, so let's do a console.log. Now remember, you want to see your output to see if it's correct or not. So this is what they want. So something like, you know, my name is this. Okay, so my name is Jay and I'm well, but there is no space though. I'm very sure they want a space. So let me go ahead and add a space here. Ah, that is much better. So if I run the test, ooh, onward. I don't know where that which movie that is from. I don't know. Onward. It's a very generic word, so it could be from any movie. You know, onward means go forward. Yeah, I can't tell the movie for this. Okay, all right. So there you go. Constructing strings with variables. Easy enough. Just assign values to variables and keep adding them. Let's keep going here. The next one is appending variables to strings. So this is again just a variation of the same thing we did before. Now the students will begin to notice that there is a certain amount of repetition with these things, you know, like some of these things might seem simple, while some students have felt that, hey man, you know what, this looks like something I already did, and so on and so forth. If you're feeling that way, it's totally normal. It's all right. You know, they're just trying to remember what I told you. Remember my Call of Duty Warzone drawing, right? You know, once again, like let's say, you know, like my friends are here, so there are many things I can do. For example, they are busy here, so I could try to explore this building, or I could take the door here and join them and wait for them to finish whatever they're trying to do, and then all three of us exit the building and go towards this road. So there are many ways you can approach a specific scenario. So I think what this free code camp website is trying to do is to give you different ways about strings, because string is a big deal. And the more practice you have, the more variety you have, the better for you as far as learning is concerned. So let's keep going. So appending variables to strings. Okay. So what the same thing, you know, we just did it. You know, I just felt like we just did this like a few minutes ago. So let's do it again. Set some adjective to a string. I'm going to say, they have told me I can put whatever you want. I'm just going to say awesome. And append it to my str. So I'm going to say my str plus equals some adjective. And now if I do console.log, I'm going to say my str, and voila. Learning to code is awesome. It is awesome. Let's put some exclamation symbol there. There you go. That's all there is. They just want me to use plus equals. That's it. Nothing fancy going on here. So let's run the test. There you go. That's appending string to variables. Tomorrow, the world. Nah, I don't recognize it. I don't recognize it now. Oh, okay. So we are moving on to some more string stuff. You'll see that a lot of these chapters are actually about strings, and it is, all of this is really valid. I'm telling you, we do a lot of string things in every programming language, especially JavaScript, because JavaScript is needed for front end. So yeah, string things, very important. Everything is important. Okay, so how do you find out the length of a string? Easy. It has a property called length. So if I want the length of this variable called last name, all I have to do is type dot length. And if I do a console log, I'll see that the length is 8. See? 8. Now if I change this to J, like, very easy, nothing to, we just and find the length of a string, run the test. Hello, raise the, I'm not getting this. Some of these references are very obscure. Okay, let's keep going. Now, use the bracket notation to find the first character in a string. You know what? This is where I think I should take next break. So the next chapter number 330, is use the bracket notation. There you go. Where is my break slide? There you are, my friend. Let's take you. Oh, designs don't carry over. How unfortunate. Wait a second. Okay, I had to copy source. 30. There it is. So once again, I'm going to go for a break here. So let me play that music. Okay, I'll see you guys after the break. When we come back from the break, we'll look at bracket notation. That's nice. Let's stop the music. Okay, that's good. So the next thing you have to understand is using the bracket notation. Now, well, this is a good idea. This is a good spot for me to explain the concept of arrays in programming. Okay, so before we go into that bracket notation, blah 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 blah, like a vampire would say, we need to understand the concept of arrays, or collections, or lists. There are many words for this. So let me get my drawing board here, the Paint app. Very nice. So what is happening here now? Imagine anything which is like a sequence. Okay, so like you have a bunch of kids trying to cross the road. They will hold hands, right? They will hold hands, and they will try to cross the road, right? Like, for example, when we were kids, we would they would take us to like a trip, like a school day trip. For people like me who were very poor, that was the only time I was able to go outside the city. Because our family did not have the money to pay for vacation and things like that. So the only time we actually had a chance to go somewhere outside the town was once in a year. The school would organize, or the student themselves would organize, some kind of a trip. And because it's a once in a year kind of a situation, my parents, or especially my mom, would somehow arrange money to send me to the trip and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's the school thing, right? So now what happens is, obviously, this would be the first kid, and the first kid grabs the second kid grabs the third kid, and the third kid grabs the fourth kid, and it goes on till the last kid. So this is how arrays work in programming. So instead of kids, think of it like you're trying to store numbers. You're trying to store 1, and then 5, and then 6, and then 10. You're just storing some values. You're storing 1 in the first box, you're storing 5 in the second box, you're storing 6 in the third box, you're storing 10 in the fourth box, you're storing 75 in the final nth box. Okay, so this is what is called as an array. So let's say I want the where is the eraser here? I made a mistake. 3, sorry. So this is so this would be 3, right? So let's say I want the fourth value. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3. So the fourth value would be 10. Okay, so if I want the second value, so that would be 0, 1. So the second value would be 5. And if I want the third value, then it will be 0, 1, 2. So the third value, 6, is in the second position. So in computers, the counting begins with a 0. Now in real life, if you're counting kids, then we will start counting from 1. So this is kid number 1, this is kid number 2, this is kid number 3, this is kid number 4, which is great. Okay, that is how you would count in real life. However, in computers, we start counting with 0. So this would be kid number 0, kid number 1, kid number 2, and kid number 3. So this leads to some amount of confusion with first-time coders, which kind of makes sense, like from childhood, from a young age, if you have to count. So let's say if you have I don't know, butterflies or something. I hope that looks like a butterfly or a star, right? Like let's say if you're in the ocean and you're trying to count starfish or something, so you would count this as starfish number 1, this as starfish number 2, and this as starfish number 3, which is how we learn how to count. But in programming, that's not how it works. So this would be starship number 0, this would be starship number 1, and this would be starship number 2. So there is this confusion and a lot of students find it difficult to understand, but there is nothing you can do about it. You are now learning a programming language, so you have to learn the ways of this world. And one of those things is when you start counting, you start counting from a 0. Okay, so let's say this is a collection. Suppose that they're all linked. It's an array or a collection or a list, whatever you want to call it. So if you are going to move through this chain, you would start here, then you would go here, and then you would go here. So if I want the second starfish, then I start counting from 0, 1, 2. But the second starfish is actually this one, so I stop counting here. But in computer terms, the position is actually 1. But in real life terms, the actual position is 2. So yes, it is confusing, but after a while you'll get used to it. So just remember, in real life we count 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you could call it like the first position, the second position, and the third position, like in real life words. But in coding words, you would say, okay, this is the 0th position, this is the first position, and this is the second position. So that's how it works. Now when we talk about strings, now every string in programming is essentially a collection of boxes. Okay, so let's take my name. So my name is Jay, which I would write like this, but in a computer it's actually a collection of 3 boxes which are all linked like this. So on the outset, like when you're looking at it from an everyday perspective, my name would be like this. However, as far as the programming language is concerned, my name would actually be a collection of 3 separate boxes, with the first box, well, the 0th box, don't forget it's an array. So the 0th box contains the letter J. The first box contains the letter A, and the second box contains the letter Y. Now that is how strings work. So if I want only the letter A, then I would do something like square bracket. So that is the first position, so that's going to be 1, right? And then if I want the letter Y, then that's going to be square bracket, second position. Which means if I try to do square bracket 3, now please notice that in J we don't have a third position. So that would be what is called as undefined or null or something else, something that doesn't exist. Let's try with another word. So let's go with Batman. So if I want, say, M, so I want M. So M is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I want Batman, then it's going to be square M in Batman. So it's going to be square bracket 3. So if I want B, then that is going to be square bracket 0. And if I want A, that's going to be square bracket 4. Now in real life thinking, A would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in real life, if somebody asks you what is the position of A, then you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in computer terms, the position would be, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, once again, yes, it is a little confusing and there isn't much we can do about it, but that is just how this technology works. You'll just have to get used to it. Okay, so now that I've kind of explained with illustrations and drawings and things like that, let's try to attempt the next chapter. So the chapters will start getting a little complex now. Okay, it's going to get a little complex now. So what do I want here? What am I trying to do? So I have to use the bracket notation, fine, and I need to find the first character in the last name. Okay, so last name is here and I need to find the first character. Now please understand, first means 0, so I'm going to open those brackets, and 0 is, which is 1. So don't forget, in real life 1 is 0 in computers. And if I do a console log, now the first letter is capital L, so I'm sure the answer would be L. There you go. There you go. Now, if you make the mistake of using the real life counting and you want the first letter, so you put 1, then you'll see that it actually gives you the second character. And yes, that is confusing. Yes, it's very confusing, but you'll get used to it. So from now on, when you're counting in computers, please start counting from 0. So we want the first character. So first character in real life is the 0th character in computer life, which means I'm going to go to the variable. Now the variable is called last name, and I want the very first value in computer world. First means 0, which is L, which is the first character in real world. So yes, so hopefully you will watch my explanation and recording one more time before going to the next chapter, because this is a key step in learning programming, because you cannot escape from the burden of using arrays, you cannot escape from working with collections, you cannot escape from working with strings. So this chapter is at the heart of the complications which are about to come. So things are going to get slower now, things are going to get complex from here on. So yeah, so I hope before you move on to the next chapter, you will really know why this is 0. I'm emphasizing that. Okay, this is your first taste of the different things, different way programming languages work, because till now whatever you did, it was kind of relatable to real life. But now is the first time where you see that divergence from real life to computer life. Because seriously, when you're counting something, like right now in my house, if I start counting the number of computers I have one laptop. Well, it's actually a Surface Pro, so it's like a tablet laptop thing, hybrid. So that's 1, and then I have a MacBook, that's computer number 2. Then I have a a small mini PC that's inside again, so that's computer number 3. And then I have 3 gaming computers, so that's 4, 5, 6. So I have computers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is how I'm going to count. However, if I was going to put these computer names in an array, then I'm going to start with 0. So 0 is the hybrid computer, and then 1 is the MacBook Air, 2 is the mini PC, and then 3, 4, 5. Those are my 3 gaming PCs. So 5, it starts at 0 and ends at 5. So there's a difference of thinking when it comes to collections in computers. So just remember that, okay? Hopefully this specific chapter you will watch and watch again. Okay, I understand the illustration I did about how kids crossing a street. Try to picture that, holding hands and all that, right? So they're holding hands, right? So try to picture this, kids crossing a street or something, and don't forget, in real life you would count this as kid number 1, kid number 2, kid number 3, kid number 4. Now that is real life, but in computer life, this is like kid number 0, kid number 1, kid number 2, and kid number 3. And further, just remember that, when we talk about strings, even though, outside it may look like, J, which is like a single thing, but in computer terms, it's actually J, A, Y. It's like a separate character in each separate box. So try to understand this, watch this video again, watch this section again and again, before you move on to the next chapter. Now, I'm sure I've got the answer correct. So using bracket notation to find a character in a string. So I'm going to run the test. There it is. Ride like the wind. I'm not getting that reference. I don't know. So submit, and let's go to the next chapter. Now, there is this thing about immutability. Okay. Now, this is, every time I use Free Code Camp, I always ask, why is this, immutability being discussed so early in this syllabus? But they must have their own reasons, because I'm not a computer science professor or a research scientist. I'm just a low level coding. So I don't know, they must have their own reasons. So we have this chapter. So let's talk about it. Now, what is mutability? Right now, mutability means, well, something that can change. You've seen X-Men movies, right? You know the X-Men movies. Okay, you have you have Wolverine, right? You have Wolverine, and he has hands, and then whenever he wants to fight, he gets these claws coming out of his body. That is Wolverine. He's a mutant. And then if somebody, like, if he's bleeding or something, if he starts bleeding everywhere, and no problem. He has healing powers, right? He has healing powers, so he can heal himself, right? So he'll be fine. Now that is mutants, which means he's different. When he was born, something has changed in his body, and he has healing powers, which gives him some special abilities, and he doesn't age faster, or he can live in old age, and he can live for a really long life and still be younger, and so on and so forth. So that's like mutants. They can change. They have changed already, along with the standard evolution of human beings. So mutability is essentially that idea that, okay, something exists, but then it changes over time. So if something can change, that is called mutability. However, here we are talking about the opposite of it. We're talking about things unable to change. Okay, like it's like you have a friend or a parent or a significant other. There is a need to change, but they will not change. It's impossible to change. Something like that. So in JavaScript, it is very important to understand that strings by themselves cannot change. Okay, which means once you create a variable, a string variable, it stays that way. Okay, it stays that way, and you cannot actually change it. Now, this is very important, because when you're dealing with strings, you don't want them changing as the project processes the data. Okay, now if you really do want to change a string, is to simply assign a new string to it. Okay, now let me try to explain what they're trying to do here. So I have a string called mystr equals Jello World. Now that makes no sense, because ideally it would be hello world. So I realized the mistake, and I'm trying to do this, and you can see here I'm getting an error that I cannot change a string, right? So I can't just pick this one character and try to change it. This is not allowed. See, you're getting an error here. Okay, so what I could do is, instead of trying to change a single line, I could simply change the entire string. So instead of trying to change a specific character, I'll simply change the entire string. And now if I run the test, I have passed. Bullseye. Okay, now one thing I want to go back and explain here is, now please understand that this can change because that is a variable. What is immutable, unchangeable is this. There are some students who start thinking, wait a second, I just told you that, okay, the tutor, I am telling you as a tutor that this is immutable, but then I'm changing it immediately to something else. Now, please understand that we are talking about the string, not the variable. So the variable is obviously mutable. That's the whole point of a variable, that it changes. You can change it, you can manipulate it. But what we're trying to say is this is not changeable. Okay, so we can simply give this variable. Obviously, the variables are mutable, so they can have another value, but this original string itself cannot be changed. That's what we are trying to say. Okay, so yeah, another difficult, this is what I said, like now we are entering difficult concepts. This is where you want to slow down, maybe pause the video, or maybe stop here and then come back tomorrow and continue. So from here on, we are going to move a little slowly. You can also see the pacing of the session. I've now slowed down. Before, I was finishing chapters like 2-3 minutes, one chapter, but now I'm spending more time in each chapter. And there's another reason why I keep telling you, when you're learning programming, you gotta slow down. Let your brain process all this new information. Okay? So again, don't get confused though. Now please understand, the left side is a variable, so that can change. The right side, now that is a string, which cannot change. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Which is why in this line, I'm able to assign a new value to this variable, because the variable is obviously changeable. However, I cannot change the string though. So I can't use something like this. Okay, you can use the bracket notation to get the value, but you can't use the bracket notation to change a value. So you can get it, like if I want the first letter, I could get it by using the bracket notation and saying 0, which is allowed. So this is okay. So I can do something like let first character equals. So I'm just getting the value. This is fine. But this is not allowed. Manipulation of the string is not allowed. So this is very, very important. Again, you will understand why this is the case as you do more programming, but ultimately this is one of those things you just have to start accepting. Okay, so strings are not mutable. So just remember this. Okay, just remember this. And if you really have to change a string, the solution is to just use a different string, which is what we are really doing here. So we know we can't use this, so we simply created a new string which has the correct value and assigned it to the variable, because variables are obviously mutable. All right, so there you go, my dear students. That is about string immutability and what to do if you have to modify a specific string. So let's go ahead and press run the test here. Bullseye, there you go. I used to think that this was dynamic, but maybe it's not. All right, here we go. So use bracket notation to find the nth character. Now we already did this before, so if I want to get the last, what am I going to do here? So before, so I said 0. If I want the nth character, I just put n. So let's say third letter. So they want us to get the third letter. Okay, so third letter is 1, 2, 3. Now don't forget, real life 3 is programming 2. So I'm going to say 0, 1, 2, and I run the test. So, but before that, I'm going to put this in the PowerPoint. I want to track these chapters. Okay. Okay, so I want the third character in real life, which will be 2 in computer life. And there you go. So, and then I run the test. Boom, target acquired. Let's keep going. So we're back to the easy stuff. So use the bracket notation to find the last character. Okay, all right. This is again easy enough. This is similar to what we just did a minute ago. So as I mentioned, some chapters we kind of breeze through, other chapters we slow down and discuss, and so on and so forth. So I want the last character. Now don't forget that we have this thing called length, which gives us the length of the character. So if I go back here, so if I have a string called J, now you know the length is 3. Now that is real world counting. So J is 1, 2, 3. Now that is the real world, but if the computer world, if you start counting, it's actually 0, 1, 2, which means if you want the last character, you just have to take the length and put a -1. So if the last character, the length is 3 minus 1 equals 2, which is the actual last character. I hope that, let me do one more example here. So let's say I have Batman. So I want the last character. So I know the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the length is 6. But in computer terms, the actual count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want 5. So 6 minus 1 is 5. So if I want the last character, all I have to do is the length and do a -1 for that. So I go back here. Okay, so yeah, right. So all I have to do is last name. Okay, and then open the square brackets and then use that last name again, dot length -1. And that's all there is to it. See, Sonic Boom. I think that's from the video game Sonic. So there you go. That is how you go ahead and use the bracket notation to find the last character in a string. Okay, let's keep going here. So use bracket notation to find nth to last. Now again, this is what I'm talking about. So now we are doing some operations, you know, some mathematics, some minus here, some plus there. So it's all basic math, but but you just need to figure out how to do it in the context of strings. So what is going on here? So I'm trying to find out second to last. So I need to find second to last. So the last is length. So length -2. So I go here. So I'm going to say last name dot length second to last. So that's going to be -2. Okay. So that's it. There you go. So let's just explain that again. So if you have second to last, Batman. Now this is last. Second to last. So this, right? So you know the length is 6. Then you want to jump 2 minus less. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now second to last in computer world is actually 4. So 6 minus 2 equals 4. So I want second to last. I take the length, minus it by what I really want, and I get the actual location. There you go. Now, as I said, it's basic math, but you just need to figure out how to apply your basic math knowledge with JavaScript. You know, that is the challenge though. So you already know your basic math. Now you're just trying to figure out, like, okay, you have a string and it has a property called dot length, and then you need to understand, like, okay, the real world counting is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but that only works in the real world. But in the computer world, it's actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so which means you get the real world counting 6, mix it up with your JavaScript counting, and you get the actual value. Now, as I say it, it seems easy for me because I've been doing this for like 20 years. But you are doing it for the first time and it might take a while. Practice. You know, all I can say is practice. Okay, so there you go. That's the second to last. So if I run this test, I should pass. Sonic Boom. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. Word blanks. Okay, okay. All right. So this one could be complex. So let's go ahead and put the chapter here. Here we go. All right, what is word blank? So what is going on here? So they're asking me to do something very complex here. So what is it? They're saying you the words of choice in a way that completely makes sense. Oh, okay. We provide you with a noun, verb, an adjective, and an adverb. You need to form. This is basic string plus blah blah blah. Okay, let's do it. So what do I have to do here? So spaces. All right, let's go for it. As usual, I'm going to say console.log, and this is what they want. They want me to make a sentence using. So first I have dog. Okay, so there we go. So you should not change the values, so I can't change these things. Okay. Okay, so I just need to use them in any way I want. Okay, so I'm going to say okay, I'm going to put a space right there. The dog. So dog is in my noun. So I'm kind of writing a story here. So you can see in the output, the dog. So the story is building. The dog is big. Okay, so I'm going to say plus double quotes is. There you go. You can see in the bottom, I'm essentially building a string using a combination of pluses and spaces and double quotes. So the dog is the dog. Is it dog? Am I saying a dog? No, dog. The dog. Oh my God, what's happening to my pronunciation? So the dog is big. That's good. The dog is big. Let me make this a little bit bigger so it's easy for me to type. So the dog is big. Okay. Plus. And it. There you go. The dog is big and it. Now the word ran is already available, so I'm going to use that. Plus. Ran very quickly. So I'm going to say very, and this is already available to me. So there it is. So the assignment is take these words and build a sentence out of it. So here again, so in school or high school or college, you would have learned some amount of English comprehension. So we are doing English comprehension, but we are doing it using JavaScript, using variables, using the plus operator, using double quotes, using spaces inside double quotes. So we are applying our existing English sentence construction knowledge, but the thing is, instead of writing it on a piece of paper, we are trying to get that happening in JavaScript. So that is the story here. Okay, so there you go. Now I'm sure I passed the test. Oh, there you go. Woohoo! All right, let's keep going. But did I put this in the slide? Oh, word blanks. Okay, that is done. Let's see what is there in front of us. Store multiple. There you go. I already discussed arrays with you, so we are actually gonna build some arrays now. So let's keep going. So chapter 39. Okay, that's good. Okay, there it is. All right, so now we are gonna build some arrays. Now I'm gonna go back to my children crossing streets. Now think of it this way: instead of children, imagine small tiny boxes which are all linked with a link. So you have these tiny boxes, okay, like a train, right? So and each of them contains something. Like the first box contains my name, second box contains I don't know, I work as a tutor, so second box contains tutor, third one contains my age, and the fourth box just contains my favorite color. I'm gonna just call it purple. So now this is what I called as a array of strings. Now don't forget that a string itself is an array, which means this J, it's in a single box, but inside that box you actually have J is a separate box linked to A, which is a separate box, and Y, which is a separate box. So you have to start thinking this way. Okay, so you have the main array. Okay, this is an array, right? And don't forget that strings are also arrays. So you are dealing with an array inside an array. You know how, like in the cities, you have the big city, and then each neighborhood is almost like a city in itself, right? I mean, think about it. Like, I am speaking to you from Bangalore. Now, Bangalore is a big city, and within the Bangalore, we have so many neighborhoods. Every neighborhood has its own mall. Every neighborhood has its own railway station. Every neighborhood has its own bus station. It has its own hospital. It has its own police station. It has its own emergency services. So it's almost like, every major city is almost like a city inside a city. Or for instance, you could think of it like a mall, for example. If a mall, a big mall is like a city in itself. It has its own lift system, it has its own shop, it has its own emergency services, it has its own people, and things like that. So a mall is like a city inside a city, or a university campus. It's actually, these days, big university campuses, you can actually stay inside the campus, never going outside, because a university campus is self-sufficient. So you can think of that as a city inside a city. So similarly, when you're dealing with arrays, you need to start picturing, like, okay, a lot of times you have an array, and then you have arrays inside arrays. Like the one right now, you have an array of names, and you'll remember that every name is actually a string, which in itself is an array of individual characters. So start picturing them like a train, or children crossing street or something, whichever helps you. So this is how arrays and collections work in programming. Okay, so now we are jumping into some array concepts. So hopefully the drawing will help. You have to find a way to visualize arrays. Very, very important. I always visualize them like this. I take a pen and paper, I draw it out. But I don't have to do that anymore because it's already in my head. But I'm talking when I started learning programming for the first time. The best way to learn programming is, take a pen and paper, lots of paper, and just write down what you're learning and just visualize it. Programming is a visual thing. The faster you visualize, the better you will learn. All right, so let's do this. So store multiple values in JavaScript using array. So what do they want me to do? They want me to take this array. See, right now the array is empty, and they want me to add a string and a number. Okay, so I'm gonna say equals, open and close square bracket. First I'm gonna add a string. I'll put my name, and then a comma. A comma is like a train link. Okay, and I'll put a number. Okay, that's all there is to it. And let's do a console log just to show you how that looks. There it is. Ooh, they don't want me to console log it. Okay, so I'm gonna comment that. Okay, all right, so there you go. That's the array, and I'm pretty sure I passed the test. Oh, first one should be a string. The second one should be, oh, I can't do this. Oh, wait a second. They are complaining that I did it in a separate line. Oh my God. Okay, all right. So I go here. I'm going to say first should be a string. So that'll be my name. And then the second one should be a number. There you go. That's how an array looks, like a train or a bunch of kids crossing a street or something. Oh, there you go. That's all there is to it. Boom. I did it. Yes, definitely I did. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. There'll be more array things. I told you, you can have arrays inside another array. So it's crazy. It's getting crazy. It's getting crazy. Right? So there you go. So let's do this. So you have an array inside an array. So they don't have any specifics for me. They just want me to have an array inside array. So let's, okay, I'm going to press enter just to make it more visual. And I'm going to add the first array like this. First array, I'm going to add a bunch of names. I'm going to put my name. I'm going to put Batman name. Second array, I'm going to put some numbers like 10, 20. And now if I do a console log, now I already explained to you, you can have arrays inside arrays. So, and they told me I can put whatever I want, which means, so now here when you're dealing with multiple arrays, keep track of these brackets. You know, you open them and then you close them, you open them, you close them, you open them and you close them. Now this will get very confusing. Now what I like to do is I like to open and close my brackets immediately. Let me show it again. Let me reset this lesson. Now look what I do. First step, I don't want to type this in a single line, so I press enter and then I make it like in a single line. You know, that is called indentation. And then I hit tab here. Now I open this and I close it immediately. And then I come outside, I put a comma, I go to the new line. Again, I just want to make it very visual, very clean. And there you go. Now the assignment said I just need to create an array inside an array. They didn't tell me what it should contain. So now again, what I'll do, I'll press enter just for the sake of visual discipline. And I will say J, comma. Then I'll go to the next line. You know, no harm in doing that. It makes it look better for me. Okay, there you go. Now here I'm going to come inside, add a number, comma, go to the next line, add another number. See how nice it looks. Sure, it takes up more space, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. You know, especially when you're learning, you know, you don't have to worry about keeping things small. You don't have to worry about optimizing something. It makes no sense to you. You're a first-time learner. So what, you take some extra lines. So what, your code runs 10% slower. It doesn't matter. The idea is to get things moving. Later, once things are moving, you can sit down and figure out how to optimize it. So there you go. That is how I like to do things. Open brackets, close them immediately, create new lines, hit some tab, focus on indentation and things like that. And now if I run the test, I am sure I will pass. And there it is. Nest one array within another array. All right. So, all right, let's see this. Okay, so now I think another 40 minutes or 45 minutes have passed. So what I'll do is I'll take a short break here. So I'm going to put this in the PowerPoint. It's going to be chapter 41. So when I come back, this is what I'm going to be discussing. So where is my break slide? Okay, there we go. Cool, there we go. I use this to explain strings. There we go. That's where I use that. Okay. So when I come back from break, I'm gonna get started with chapter 41, which is access array data with indexes, or some people say indices. It's fine. So there we go. Let me play the music again. think that 3 hours is the my limit. Yeah, I think 3 hours is my limit, you know, my back pain and my age and things like that. So, okay, so let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Okay, so this is going to be next, right? So next, this is what we are going to do. So there it is. So what I want to do is I just want to make a note. So I started with chapter 9. So I'm just going to put that here. So I'm going to just put it here. So I'm going to just say chapter 9 to, just for my own reference, you know, chapter 9 to 40. So we stopped at 40. So I just want to track that, you know. So I'm going to put that 40. So chapter 9 to 40, right? So that is what this session was all about. So there you go, my dear students. You know, I see one student watching me live, so thank you for joining. And of course, anybody who's watching the recording, thank you for, hopefully this was useful to you. I do have a Discord server, feel free to join. I have a website, feel free to visit. And thank you very much. Thank you indeed.